What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon MLB DFS video. It is Thursday. It is August 24th, and we are back bringing you another fantastic video. If you've never been here before, you're in for a treat. So just to kind of top it off, we go through everything. We go through all of the pitchers that are currently on the slate. We go through all of the bats. We look at the batter splits against said-handed pitcherness in this video at least. We try to help you become a better DFS player. Now, we're not trying to steer you towards any certain plays like some other big channels I think do, and then they go the opposite of that and then they take your money. We're actually just breaking it down. Every single game on the slate we're going to look at, we're going to break it down for you. We have 10 games on the slate today we are going to look at, and hopefully if you've come away from this at all with some information, knowledge, or anything gained, let us know down below. And also, if you haven't, just give us a subscription. Follow us here. It's been awesome. We hit the 8,000 sub mark, middle of the night, actually. So it's been fun. I'm very excited for what this channel has done for the MLB, and we look forward to everything coming with the NFL and so on and so forth. If after this video you need a little bit more help, you can always go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. You can sign up for FTA Plus, $24.99 for a month, which includes all the sports plus NBA once it gets back. Or you can go the yearly route. Currently, right now, a yearly package, $199. If you use the promo code NFLVIP, you're going to get $100 off right now. So definitely check that out. In the description of this video is our DraftKings Fantasy Football League. It's a weekly league, $10 a week, 200 spots. If all 200 people get into this spot, then we have a chance to have the top 5 pay. Top prize every single week if we fill 200. Of course, it's $580 every single week. So, that being said, anytime a video gets at least 50 likes and you leave a comment and you are a subscriber, you have a chance to win a free week of DFS content. If that same video gets 100 likes, you have a chance to win a free month. If that video gets 125 likes, you have a chance to win a free year. And if that video gets 150 likes, any video at all gets 150 likes, someone who leaves a comment and is a subscriber is going to win a lifetime pass. So let's check out who the winner is from yesterday's video real quick before we jump into everything else. You can win multiple times. Slumdog ATL, still cashing is what he said. Congratulations, Slumdog. If you see this video, like the video. Tell me you saw that you're the winner, and then hit us up 2 ways. Either on Twitter at advisors_team with a username and email that you would like us to set up your free pass with, or you can email me dfshelp1@gmail.com and we will get you set up on the website for your pass. Same thing, I need your username that you would like and your email. Just don't put it in the comment section down below. We don't want that stuff to leak. So, now, come back tomorrow, Slumdog. Come back the next day. You can win every single day as long as each video gets at least 50 likes, and I know we can do it. So, big shout out to everyone who has won. Big shout out to everyone who's won multiple times, and let's get going. We have 10 games. We have 5 early and 5 on the main slate, which those are the kind of games where I'm looking, and depending on the pitching, probably looking at only GPPs for the day. But we are here, and we're going to check it out. So, the first game is the mighty Washington Nationals facing the, smaller Yankees. I mean, the farm system would probably be better than what they're going. As of now, we got Patrick Corbin versus to be announced, but on DraftKings, it does have Garrett Cole listed, so you never know what the Yankees are going to do. You don't know if they're going to push him back. As of now, he's slated to work. If this does change, obviously we will have that changed on the website for the cheat sheets and projections and stuff like that. But I do want to look at Corbin, 110 plate appearances, 320 batting average. A lot of that coming from 3 players. DJ LeMahieu's seen him a ton, 21 for 54, 3 doubles, 6 home runs. Could be a sneaky option here for the early slate. Definitely look at that. Stan, I don't know if I'd want to pay up for Stanton. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I would. He's bringing nothing to the table right now. Whether or not he does consistently, who knows? So I just kind of want to look at that. So we jump into here. We do have a weather concern for this game. So this is one where you never know what you're going to get because we are dealing with weather. Now, we do have a weather tab on the cheat sheet, which you can find at FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. And we'll kind of monitor this situation. We got 2 weather concerns here. Don't know what we've got. So currently, You got Patrick Corbin at 6,000 versus Garrett Cole at 11,600. The way the Yankees have been playing, you never know. Patrick Corbin could come through. Game logs, I mean, he's coming off a really good game against Boston. 6 innings in that game, 1 earned run. So as you can see, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, they gave up 6 more runs. He had 6 Ks in that game, 25.1. Has not pitched against the Yankees this year, so all of those numbers are coming off of, obviously, previous years. Patrick Corbin is Jekyll and Hyde. You honestly don't know what you're going to get out of him. You don't know if he's going to have a good game like his last game, or he's going to have a bad game like, these aren't good. These single-digit games are not good. Cincinnati, New York, and Colorado. He is pitching on the road. On the road, he's a little bit worse. I mean, 4.92 ERA compared to his season 4.71. On paper, the Yankees should absolutely be able to shove against him. On the field and execution-wise, they have not been doing it against teams they need to beat. They should have swept the Nationals easily, but they just don't have pitching. Their hitting's been off. I don't know. I don't know what to think. So looking at this, Patrick Corbin for tournaments, I'm okay with. I'm okay with that. But we are going to dig in a little bit here. We're going to look at the Yankees versus left-handed pitching. On paper, their numbers should be off the charts. But they're not. You got Glaber batting .241 against them. Judge isn't on here because he doesn't have at least 60 at-bats against the lefty because he's been out. But I would still put Judge in there. I would use Glaber. I would use Judge. I would use IKF. Volpe I would use. Harrison Bader against lefties. A ton of green here. Only 62, so it's a little bit skewed, but I'd still use it there. Like I said, DJ LeMahieu's got not the best against lefties this year, but he has got some good numbers against Patrick Corbin in his career. I'd also look at Everson Pereira and Oswald Peraza as well. Just depends on the lineup that the Yankees throw out there today. I will have exposure to Patrick Corbin because the Yankees have been bad, but I'll also have exposure to the Yankees because Patrick Corbin has been bad for multiple years in a row. He's just coming off a really good game against Boston, and he's cheap. So I will have exposure on both sides of this. This is where you got to get a little bit of exposure, especially on a slate like this where, it's 5 early games. You do have some weather concerns, so definitely look at that. But seeing as how he's 6,000 compared to Cole, who's 11,600, it's, you can do a lot with this. So we will dig into the numbers. So if it is Garrett Cole, now it's projected to be Garrett Cole. Can change, just like we saw yesterday with, what was it? Jack Flaherty with Baltimore. He was projected to go for Baltimore against Toronto, and then all of a sudden it changed, and it was Dean Kramer instead. So it should be Garrett Cole. I could also see it being like Johnny Brito, and then moving Garrett Cole back a game. It just really depends on a ton of situations that out of our control. We don't know what they're going to do. If it is Garrett Cole, he's still slightly leading Cy Young right now for the American League. He is coming off back-to-back games where he got the loss, or he didn't get, so the Miami game he was up 7 7-2, and then we remember that Clay Holmes blew it, gave up 5 runs in the 9th for a walk-off. Then against Boston, he just got lit up. 4 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, which is crazy. He still gave up 6 earned runs, but had 3.03 ERA. So he's had, and then not a good game against the White Sox. So in his last 2 decisions, so he wasn't in a decision here, but his last 2 pitched that were decisions, he lost to both the White Sox and Boston. That's the first time he's done that all year. He's coming off, a stretch of 3 bad games. Now, Washington's been good, but Garrett Cole's been Cy Young worthy. Now, I don't know if it's going to be Garrett Cole, but we definitely are going to look to see some numbers here. So if it is Garrett Cole, let's take a look at the Washington bats that have had success this year against right-handed pitching. Now, Lane Thomas, we've used him a ton this year. He still makes sense no matter what we're doing. So I would still look at him for sure. I would look at C.J. Abrams a little bit. Ruiz, Carter Kieboom, if he's in there, I don't mind him. Obviously, Candelario is gone now. He is with Chicago Cubs. those would be the ones I look at, but I don't know if I feel confident enough to take Washington bats against Garrett Cole, if in fact it is Garrett Cole. Now, if it's somebody else, if they put in Johnny Brito or they start like Randy Vasquez in their place, then I would look at pitching or look at the Washington bats. But as of now, we're just going to go with I'll put a little bit of Patrick Corbin in tournaments. I'll stack the Yankees there, and then if it is Garrett Cole, I will take Garrett Cole, but he is very expensive. Next game, Dodgers at the Guardians. To be announced versus Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams has never faced the Dodgers before. It is being reported as of now that Pepio, I think that's how you say his name, could be as of the making of this video, he has not been recalled yet. We're still a day past the news that broke. So I could definitely see this. This, I believe, is Tony Gonsolin's spot in the rotation, and he is out. Now, he did just pitch on August 19th, and then he got sent back down 2 days later. Faced Miami in that game, went 5 innings, 1 earned run with 5 Ks. Not too bad. Now, he is 7,100, and there is weather concerns, so that's definitely something to look at. Hasn't pitched on the road, so he would be a cheaper option that I would look at. So if you're looking at Garrett Cole, you got to get Pepio in there, or you could go Corbin if you're expecting the Yankees-Nats game to be a low-scoring affair. You could have both pitchers there. I don't know what's going to happen, really don't know what's going to happen with the Yankees all season, and that's never good for anybody. So looking at this, it should be him. And then we've got Gavin Williams, who, coming in 3.02 record, or ERA, 1-4 record overall. Game logs, not a good game against Detroit. Detroit's been hitting, kind of coming along. So that should have been a good matchup against him. Tampa Bay on paper should not be a good matchup for him, but it was for him. This is why people have been asking about MLB DFS and betting, and it's like MLB and DFS, it's very volatile. You don't know what you're going to get. So we're kind of looking into that, but he had an amazing game against Toronto, 7 innings there with 12 Ks. Coming in against the Dodgers, they are without JD Martinez. He's never faced them before. He is pitching at home. Worse at home. He is going against the Dodgers, so that is definitely something I would look at. Trying to see, is he a righty? Okay, so both of these teams are going up against righties. So let's take a look real quick and see. Let's just go Cleveland first. If I'm looking at Cleveland bats, obviously Jose Ramirez is always going to be up there, batting .314 against righties. Josh Bell and Rosario are both gone. Andres Jimenez, not too good. I mean, there's not a ton to like about a stack. Maybe Stephen Kwan, Will Brennan a little bit, but I'm probably staying away from Cleveland bats in this one. And then we look at the Dodgers here against righties. You got Outman batting .235. Mookie Betts, obviously, doesn't matter lefty or righty. Got a ton of green there for me. Freddie Freeman, obviously, so a Dodger stack is not out of the question. A Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, maybe a little bit of Max Muncy, Will Smith if he's in there. I don't mind. James Outman or Jason Hayward. Really just depends on the outfield that the Dodgers throw out there with the DH to see who might have a good game, where they would go there. So I'm still looking at a Dodger stack here, but if you want to go contrarian, I don't mind a Gavin Williams pick in tournaments because it will be very contrarian. I think a lot of people will be off of that. And if he does somehow come through like he did against Toronto, you should have some exposure over the field. You should be pretty good in a good situation there. Next game, Rockies at the Rays. You got Pete Lambert versus to be announced. You really don't know what you're going to get with Tampa Bay. There is no projected starter right now. Could be an opener. There's just no news at all. Don't know why. Tampa Bay loves to do this. They'll do this more than they'll actually have a pitcher posted. I know that their starting pitching has been decimated this year, so they're bringing people up. They're doing openers. They're just doing bullpen games. It really depends. I don't know what we're going to get here. So we don't know if it's going to be a righty or lefty against Colorado. But we do know that Colorado's throwing out Pete Lambert. Now, Pete Lambert, game logs, he had a really good game against the White Sox. Not so good game against the Dodgers, Milwaukee, or San Diego. He's gone 6-7 innings, but it just depends. He hasn't faced Tampa Bay this year. He's only faced 3 at-bats total, or plate appearances total there. He is pitching on the road in Tampa Bay. On the road, he does have a better ERA, but I think most the majority of Colorado pitchers normally have better ERAs on the road. And then he's got a 3.6 on the road. Tampa Bay has really struggled this year. I will have some exposure to Pete Lambert. The problem is we got to get away from these 4.1 innings and 3.2 innings. We got to stay within these 6 and 7 inning outings to feel confident enough to take him there. So let's just take a little look here. We'll look at Tampa Bay bats against righties. So Tampa Bay bats here against Lambert, just to kind of say. And I think I forgot to mention, but towards the end of this video, we do simulations every single day for our DFS for Fanduel and DraftKings. We do 10,000 total simulations. Towards the end of the video, we're going to share our top 10 pitchers and top 10 bats after 2,000 simulations. If you want to see the 10,000 and the total and the projections out there, that is part of the FTA Plus program, so you can definitely go check that out. So if we are looking at bats against Pete Lambert, Yandy Diaz, 331 batting average against righties, 409 OBP, 911 OPS, really good numbers there. You could look at that. Jose Siri has 302 isolated power, only a 223 batting average there. I could look at Luke Raley. I don't mind Luke Raley. So I would definitely look at Yandy. I would look at Raley, Siri, Arosa Reina. I would look at Paredes. Has a ton of green over orange and red there. And then you want to look at Colorado bats. So we don't know if it's going to be a righty or a lefty yet. If it's not, any stud, which pretty much it's not going to be any of the stud pitchers that Tampa Bay doesn't have, because all of them besides Glasnow are hurt. We can take a look. So ones I would use here would be Nolan Jones against a righty, Ryan McMahon against a righty. I would use Blackman, Tovar. Those are the ones I would use. So if you want to look, if somehow it is against a lefty, we can also look at Colorado bats against lefties. So let's just hit them both ways. So Charlie Blackman there, he does strike out a lot less against a lefty, even lefty on lefty matchup, which you don't see a ton. But again, they haven't seen a ton of bats there. We've got, they don't really do well against lefties. So if this is a lefty for Tampa Bay and it's not an opener and it's a person that's actually going to be in the bullpen or get, at least 5 innings, and it's a lefty, I might, but I don't know if Tampa Bay has that. I might take that pitcher against Colorado. If whoever Tampa Bay does throw out there, I kind of like a Colorado stack there. And I'll have a little bit of exposure to Lambert, because you could do a ton, especially in a 4-game early slate. You could do a ton with a Patrick Corbin and Pete Lambert combined, still less than what you'd pay for Garrett Cole by himself. Oh, now it's Glasnow. So now it's Glass. Was that there earlier? I might be going crazy. You guys, it had to have been there. I'm nuts. I'm going crazy, right? So yeah, he pitched last on Saturday. So it should be his turn in the rotation. Game logs, didn't do too good against LA. Had a really good game, obviously, here against San Francisco, and then he got hurt, and then he came back. Hasn't faced Colorado this year, so I think, I don't know, maybe I just completely missed that altogether. Glasnow at 10,900. He is going to be expensive. Colorado does hit righties well, but he could have his way with Colorado there. Pitching at home, he's got a 3.43 ERA, so a little bit worse than his 3.27 away. Honestly, Glasnow I'll have some exposure to because he is a stud, but I kind of think I might like taking Colorado as a contrarian stack against Glasnow because Tampa Bay can be beat. We've seen that a ton this year. So that's definitely something I'd look at. So in my thought there, Glasnow a little bit, but I kind of am in favor of a Colorado stack because you got to get a little bit different than the other teams here. Moving on, you got the Red Sox at the Astros. You got Brian Bayo versus JP France. Bayo's only faced 2 plate appearances. France has never faced Boston before. So we look at this. Bayo, game logs, coming off a good game against the Yankees, but like I've said in the past, most teams this year have had really good games against the Yankees. They've just been absolutely atrocious for a couple of months now. Pretty much a couple of years now. Even though they won the division last year, they've had a terrible year and a half of baseball, or year of baseball. So looking at this, Houston's obviously really good. We know that. He's coming in. He's pitching on the road. He has a worse ERA on the road by total of he's given up more home runs on the road, less walks, but less strikeouts. One less earned run and less games started. So he's just not been good on the road at all. Just at all. So we can look at that. I don't think I'll be having exposure to Bayo. I'd probably have the Astros bats, but we'll look at it. And then you got JP France right at there at 8,200. Game logs. Pretty good game against Seattle with 18.1. Obviously would like to see more, but it did give up 2 earned runs and a walk. So before those, we were probably looking about 20 plus fantasy points. Had a good game against the Angels there. Pitching at home, he is worse at home. Does give up more home runs at home. Does have more strikeouts at home though. I don't know if I'll be using JP France, but we will dig into the numbers. Let's take a look both at Boston and Houston against right-handed pitching and see how they do. So Boston bats against right-handed pitching. Devers is batting 272 with an 881 OPS. So he's in for a good shot there. Just will depend on what we get out of him. Verdugo is more of a tournament option. You got Jarren Duran. You got Justin Turner batting 292 with an 818 OPS. Adam Duvall has a 304 isolated power against righties, so I don't mind him. Tristan Casas has more green and yellow than orange and red. Same thing with Yoshida. So I would definitely look at a Boston stack here. I'm probably avoiding both of these pitchers. Probably looking at a stack here. But let's take a look. If we're not doing Boston, let's take a look at Houston bats as well. I mean, Kyle Tucker batting 275 against righties, but a 363 OBP, 844 OPS. You've got Bregman, who's got a bunch of green now. You've got Diaz, who's got some green. The only bad part is he doesn't walk a ton. Yordan, if he's in, he's 392 OBP there. Jose Altuve's got a 335 batting average and 180 at-bats. I would look at him. I would also look at Chas McCormick. So depending on what the Vegas numbers say, I kind of like a game stack here over just a team stack and over taking either of these pitchers. So I will be avoiding both Bayo and France here, and I will be definitely stacking this game for sure, especially with, you've got just 4 games early. That's where I would look at here. So that is the early slate. So if we want to kind of go back, I'll have a little bit of Garrett Cole. I might be fading Glasnow here. The weather will be a concern there for the Yankees. The weather might be a concern for Cleveland and LA. I'm probably fading Gavin, probably fading both Bayo and France. I can look a little bit of Pepio, just depends if he goes deep into that game. Patrick Corbin for tournaments for sure. Maybe Pete Lambert for tournaments because he's so cheap and you got to get a little bit different in a 4-game slate. So, brings us to the main slate. We got the Cubs at the Pirates. Justin Steele versus to be announced right now. Steele has faced 36 plate appearances of them. Only 16.7 K percentage, a 212 batting average. So let's take a look. They think it's going to be Jackson. Is it going to be Andre Jackson? He last pitched Friday. So it would be his turn in the rotation at 5,600. So we'll definitely take a look at that. So first off, let's take a look at Justin Steele against Pittsburgh. Game logs, he's coming off a pretty good game against Kansas City. He went 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks. He's had at least 7 Ks in 3 straight starts, which is just fantastic for what we're looking at. Those would definitely be ones I'd look at. Not a good game against Toronto. Did give up 3 earned runs, but had 7 Ks in that. But that did go a little bit less for him. Had he not given up those 3 earned runs, we're probably looking at about 24 fantasy points, 25 fantasy points there, I believe. Not a good game against Atlanta. He's had some tough starts. Splits-wise, he hasn't actually faced Pittsburgh this year. Pitching on the road, he's got a better ERA on the road. It is the Pirates, so they have been hitting. Steele at his price, maybe tournaments, but I don't know if I can trust him enough in cash. Just the way that Pittsburgh has been hitting lately, I don't know if I can trust enough. And then we got Andre Jackson against the Cubs. Against Minnesota on Friday, only 4.1 innings, so he's not going deep into games. That's the problem. He is not going at least 5 innings into the game. He is pitching at home. He's got a 6.75 ERA, so that's definitely probably going to be looking at a Cubs stack here. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at Chicago Cubs bats against right-handed pitching. So it'll be Jackson and then the bullpen after that. So Bellinger's been absolutely on fire this season. It's belly season, like we've said. So I would look at him. I'd look at Dansby Swanson. Suzuki has a 340 OBP. I would look at him. Morel has some green here. Got 504 slugging, 832 OPS, 241 ISO. You got Candelario. Similar numbers there I would definitely look at. I would look at Ian Happ. I would look at Bellinger. And you guys know my love for Mike Tauchman if he's leading off. So I will definitely be looking at a Cubs stack against Andre Jackson and the bullpen of the Pirates. So let's take a look at the Pirates bats against Justin Steele and how they do against lefties. Kutch, 355 OBP. Tournaments, I don't mind him. Brian Reynolds, I don't mind. Rodolfo Castro will be a cheap option here. He's got 290 batting average against lefties. Connor Joe I would use for sure. Brian Hayes I would use more for tournaments. Sawinski and Bay I would also use, but only tournaments as well, because Bay doesn't hit lefties very well. He's got a .028 isolated power there. So that's kind of what I'd look at. I'm pretty much going to avoid the bottom here. If I'm going not Justin Steele and I'm going the way of Pittsburgh bats, probably looking at Kutch, Reynolds, Castro, Connor Joe, and Brian Hayes there. But I will be avoiding that. Andre, I'll look a little bit of Steele, but I don't know about his price at 9,800. Moving on, Blue Jays at the Orioles. Jose Barrios versus to be announced. Barrios has faced 167 of these batters, 16.8 K percentage, 268 batting average. It's really been a tale of two Barrioses here this year. And then to be announced. So this was supposed to be Dean Kramer. He then moved up to Wednesday and took Jack Flaherty's spot. Now, it's expected to be Flaherty, but there's absolutely zero news as to why Flaherty was scratched or skipped for the day. Depending on when you watch this video, maybe news has broke since then. I really don't know. But as of making it, we don't know. So we're going to make the video in assumption that it is going to be Jack Flaherty. If it is not and it is changed, that will be reflected in our cheat sheet. That will be reflected on the website for everything that we do moving forward. Just depends when that news comes out. So let's take a look at Jose Barrios here. Game logs, he's had a really good game against Cincinnati his last start, 5.2 innings, 8 Ks, 25.8 fantasy points. Didn't have a good game against the Cubs, had pretty decent games here against Boston and LA. Has faced Baltimore once this year, went 7.2 innings of only allowing 3 hits, no earned runs. He only had 5 Ks though, but he had 28.3 fantasy points there. I'm not going to say he's going to replicate that against Baltimore, because Baltimore's been hitting very well lately. Let's see how far back that was. I'm curious if it was when Baltimore. So it was the middle of June. Baltimore's still hitting pretty well. So he could be a sneakier option at 8,200. I think I like him better than I do like Justin Steele. And then the flip side, if it is Flaherty, just like I said yesterday, game logs, he's faced him twice this year already. 11 innings, 12 Ks, averaging 23.2. Now, if he's healthy and he just was scratched for no reason, I'm okay using him. If he was scratched for any discomfort or any sickness or anything, he's not 100%. And if you throw him out there, I don't trust him against this Toronto team. So let's take a look at both Toronto and Baltimore against right-handed pitching. So we'll go Baltimore first. Mountcastle I would definitely use. Gunnar Henderson I would definitely use here. Got some green numbers. I would use Adley for sure. Santander I don't mind. Austin Hayes, more of a tournament option. Cedric Mullins I would use as well there. And then if we're not using Flaherty and we're using Toronto bats, Dalton Varsho, tournament play for sure. I'd look at Whit Merrifield. I'd look at Vlad. George Springer I would look at. I'd use Bichette, obviously batting .309 and almost 400 plate appearances for him. I would use Brandon Belt, has been absolutely on fire. I would use Matt Chapman and Kevin Kiermaier all as well. So I kind of like both of these teams as stacks rather than taking the pitching, just because both of these teams can hit this year. We know that for sure. And I don't think weather's a concern. Weather is, well, no, it is a concern. So the first two games here do have weather concerns. So this is where, if there are weather concerns, rain, postponements, delays, anything like that, you'd rather take the bats than you would want to take the pitching, because if they start the game, they pitch 2 innings and the rain comes, you're probably screwed because they're probably out the rest of the game. So definitely monitor the weather situation, and hopefully it does not affect anything in these games here. So then the Rangers at the Twins, you got Andrew Heaney versus Pablo Lopez. Heaney, 88 plate appearances, 232. Lopez, 22 plate appearances, 263. So looking at this, Andrew Heaney down here at 7,700. Game log-wise, couple of stinkers in a row. Still 7,700. But Milwaukee's been playing really good baseball lately. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Minnesota this year. Pitching on the road, he's got a little bit better ERA. 4.23 compared to 4.30, so his ERA has gone up this year. Game logs gave up 3 earned there, 1, 0, 0, 3, 4. It really depends. At 7,700, he's in the price range of Barrios a little bit. That's it. I mean, it's the low end, and then it's mid, and then upper. Heaney over Minnesota, I'm probably going to fade, and we'll get into those numbers in a second. Then you got Pablo Lopez. He's the highest price pitcher. It's kind of crazy because DraftKings has been messing with the salaries weirdly, and it's hard to know because if you look at this, Pablo Lopez has not a plus matchup for him against Texas, and he's 10,600. But then you dig into the numbers a little bit. You see his last game against Pittsburgh, 6 innings pitched, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 26.1. That was at 10,600. He hasn't moved since then. Then you look at Philly. He had a really good game against Philly. He had a really good game against Detroit. He had a good game against St. Louis, Seattle. I mean, he's had so many good games in a row, and now he faces Texas. Has not faced them this year. He is pitching at home. He is worse at home. Honestly, at his price, I think it's a fade for me on DraftKings at least, just because of his price. 10,600 going up against Texas, which is a really, really good team. And you couple that with his high ERA at home. He's given up 33 earned runs at home and only 6 home runs. I could see you paying up 10,600 and getting screwed over. So let's take a look at... We'll take a look here. Texas bats against right-handed pitching. Now, obviously, number 1 is going to be Corey Seager. I think he's batting like 4... Where is he? Batting 349 here. You can see Travis Jankowski batting 284, Nate Lowe 294. So yeah, I think I'm going to probably fade Pablo just because of his price, and I'm going to be looking at a Texas stack here. Those would consist of Jankowski, Lowe. I would look at Simeon. I would look at Jonah Heim. Obviously, you have to anchor that with Corey Seager, number 1. He's got so much green here overall. Maybe a little bit of Robbie. No, Robbie Grossman's better against righties or lefties than he is righties. So probably, yeah, the Jankowski, Lowe, Simeon, Jonah Heim, and Corey Seager for me. And then if you're not going with Heaney, Minnesota bats here. Solano is an option I would use. Carlos Correa I would use. Jeffers against the lefty I would use more tournament-wise, but I'd still use him. Buxton a little bit. Michael A. Taylor tournament option. I would use Michael A. Taylor, maybe a little bit of Jorge Polanco as well in this game. So that's my thought in this game. Probably not using pitching here. Probably stacking Texas. He's just Pablo. And now I could be completely wrong. That's the difference. That's the difference between us and any big DFS provider. If I'm wrong, I will let you know in tomorrow's video. But in this situation, I am probably avoiding Pablo Lopez due to his price and stacking Texas Rangers here. Then you got the Athletics at the White Sox. You get Ken Waldichuk versus Jesse Schultens, which is another one I don't really want. I mean, they're back-to-back here. So looking at Waldichuk here, game logs. Didn't do too bad his last start against Baltimore. 5.2 innings, 2 earned runs, 2 solo shots, 7 Ks, 18.6, 11.9. Kind of what you're looking for at these prices. 19.3 against Texas, which he should not have been able to do against Texas. Splits-wise, obviously hasn't faced the White Sox this year. He's only faced 14 total. He is pitching at home. He does have he has a better ERA at home. Or no, he's on the road. Waldichuk's on the road. 7.29 ERA on the road. Yeah, I'm probably avoiding Waldichuk here and looking at White Sox bats. Not a ton of White Sox bats that I would trust, but we'll definitely look into it. And then if we look at Schultz here, game logs, yeah, we did not pitch him against Colorado. We actually stacked Colorado against him in that start last Saturday, I think it was, minus 5.3. Went 3 innings there, 5 earned runs. Splits-wise, he's faced Oakland one time this year for 4 innings. I believe it's probably out of the bullpen. 3 earned runs there, 1 home run, 3 Ks. No, it'd probably been a start. And that was in Oakland, right? Yeah, that was at Oakland. 4 innings there. So probably not using either of these pitchers. I will look at the bats, and that's crazy to say, but when you have a 5-game main slate and maybe a 3-game main slate, if the weather doesn't hold up, it could get a little bit dicey there. So let's take a look at the White Sox bats against left-handed pitching real quick. We're looking at Luis Robert Jr., obviously. We'd look at Eloy Jimenez. I would look at Andrew Vaughn a little bit. I would look at... Is Tim Anderson back? So Tim Anderson, is he done? Yeah, so he is back as of Wednesday. So I would look at Tim Anderson there. That's what I would go with in this game. Probably avoiding both of these pitchers. And then I would look at bats. So then let's take a look at the Oakland Athletic bats against right-handed pitching. Not a ton that I like. I mean, Ryan Noda got a 380 OBP. I mean, there's so much red and orange here compared to green and yellow. Laureano's obviously gone. The ones that I would even consider would be Noda, Seth Brown, and Brent Rooker, but their numbers aren't the best against right-handed. But I'm still not taking pitching. So you want to go contrarian, look for whatever Oakland lineup comes out. Try to build around it if you can. Then the final game on the slate, you got the Reds at the Diamondbacks. You got Brandon Williamson versus Merrill Kelly here. Williamson coming in. Game logs, not a good game here against Toronto. Did have a good game against Pittsburgh. Had a great game against Miami. Not so good of a game here against the Cubs. Splits-wise, he's pitching. He has faced Arizona once this year. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 5 Ks, 23.1. And I believe that was in Cincinnati, right? Almost said San Diego. Wait, did I miss it? Yeah, that was in Cincinnati back July 22nd. Had a good game. So has had success against this team. 5,900, I don't mind him. He's pitching on the road. He does have a worse ERA on the road, though, and Arizona can hit. So I don't know if I'll be using him, but that is definitely something to look at there out of Brandon Williamson. And then you got Merrill Kelly here. Game logs, not so good against the Padres. Had a really good game in Coors. Not a good game against the Dodgers. Really good game against Minnesota. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Cincinnati this year. He's pitching at home. He does have a 3.27 ERA at home. Is not too bad, actually. So let's take a look at Arizona bats against left-handed pitching. Ketel Marte is a good option. Just had a massive home run against Aroldis Chapman the other night. Corbin Carroll, even though it's a lefty-on-lefty matchup, I will look at him. I would look at Christian Walker. He smashes lefties. 633 slugging, 1,000 OPS, 358 isolated power. Gabriel Moreno I would look at, batting 354 against lefties. Longoria would be a tournament option for me. I would also look at Lourdes Gurriel Jr. as well. So probably not taking either of these pitchers. Definitely look at the stacks, though, and then we can look at the Cincinnati bats against right-handed pitching. So looking at this, Will Benson's got a 407 OBP, 301 batting average. So if he's in there, I don't mind him. Ellie De La Cruz, obviously you're taking him, but he's super expensive for his production this year so far. Matt McClain, Spencer Steer, I don't mind. Joey Votto, I don't mind. It really just depends on, is Votto even playing right now, or is he hurt? So he is. He's playing. Game logs. Playing about every other day or so, give or take. No, they probably had an off day. So yeah, just depends if he's in there, but he's not doing too much at 202 batting average there. So there are my thoughts on that. If you're looking at the pitching for this slate, probably avoiding Pablo Lopez just because of his price. He could go off against Texas, but I just don't trust him enough. I'll have a little bit of exposure to Justin Steele, but if you want to get exposure on the field, a Pittsburgh stack's probably the way to go there. Merrill Kelly, tournament-wise, I'm okay with. I don't mind. Probably avoiding both Flaherty and Barrios, but just depends on the Flaherty news when it comes out. Probably don't want Haney. I mean, there's not a lot to like about pitching this. You're going to have to get a little bit crazier. Brandon Williamson against Arizona, because he has had success before against them, I'm okay with, especially at 5,600. Then, yeah, it probably would be between Flaherty, Barrios, and Haney, and I don't like a lot of them. So this is going to be another one where I might take the night off, but I wanted to bring this information out to you guys. So there's the breakdown of all the pitching and all of the bats on the slate. Let's take a look at, through 2,000 simulations, the top 10 bats and top 10 pitching for today. We'll go through the top 12. Let's go top 12 bats. So number 1, it's got Bo Bichette. Number 2, it's got Brandon Belt. Number 3, it has Ketel Marte. Number 4 is Vlad. 5 is Adley. 6 is George Springer. 7 is Devers. 8 is Jordan. 9 is Justin Turner. 10 is Yoshida. 11 is Casas. And number 12 is Kyle Tucker. So in the top 12, it has 4 Toronto bats, has 1 Arizona bat, 1 Baltimore bat, 2 Houston bats, and 4 Boston bats. And then looking at pitching here, as of now, it does have Merrill Kelly at number 1. Tournaments I'm okay with. It's got Andrew Haney against Minnesota. It's got Waldachuk against the White Sox. It's got Schultens against Oakland. It really does. I mean, you don't have a ton to go off of. Brandon Williamson, Jose Barrios, Brian Bayo, JP France, and Jack Flaherty. So those are your pitching. Those are your bats. That is the breakdown. If you found this helpful, if you found it useful, let everyone know. Share the video. Send it out to your friends. Let us know. I'm very curious on everything that you guys are able to get from this. If there's certain things you would like to see, if you're here for NFL, that's awesome as well. We'll be very soon into it. I'm thinking about breaking down each team division and any bets that we like in those teams. If that's something you're interested in, hit the like button. And go check out all of our other things that we've got going on. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, @advisors_team on Twitter. We've got it all. Good luck tonight. Good luck on everything. It is Thursday. Depending on when you watch this video, we've already got PGA information on the website. So definitely check that out. MMA locks at 5 a.m. Eastern. Because they're in Singapore, I think. So if you're into MMA and you've been looking at stuff, you got to get in early. Locks 5 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. So good luck to everyone on this slate. Let's bring home some bacon. Peace!